Well, one reason I'm here today in Chamizal is because rural New Mexico and the sustainability of rural New Mexico is so important to me. I've lived in 5 communities in New Mexico, everything from 150 people to the biggest community in New Mexico in Albuquerque, and I know that for New Mexico to be the land of enchantment, that we really need our small communities to survive and to thrive. And so as I come up through the high road and through Chuchas and through all the different communities for Darte, it's very important for me to people to know that I'm going to work for their families too.
And I think that's one of the main concerns up here is keeping funding for programs for our schools and for senior centers like the ones we're standing in now. How do you plan to go about that?
Well, we have a way. I've already put out a plan to help trim the budget and also close tax loopholes on the big corporations. We have big corporations in New Mexico who shield their profits. That costs our families and our businesses money, and it also takes money out of programs for critical services and for education. So my thought is that we trim the budget, we close the tax loopholes, and we've made a very good start on closing the budget gap, and that way we don't have to touch education, we don't have to touch those critical services.
And last thing, another thing that's important up here are acequias. What's your plan for making sure our water and our traditions are protected in that right?
Well, I have a long-time commitment to New Mexicans on water, our traditional water users, our acequia associations, our tribal water users. We've all worked together to formulate a statewide water plan, and we need to continue to do that so that every region of the state has input into that plan. There are very different kinds of water users and water sources in New Mexico, from the acequias to the water basins in the southeast, but water is our most precious resource. And not only conserving water, but making sure it's available and it's affordable to our communities. And this enhances our agricultural community in northern New Mexico, which is our small business community. So if we do our job, and and work with the acequias and water users throughout New Mexico, our farm communities, our small farms will thrive in New Mexico. To me, that's very important.
Anything else you want to add about the economy or jobs, kind of the white elephant in the room these days?
Well, this is an election about jobs. This is an election in which job and job creation is going to be the most important thing that we do in the short term and in the long term. That's going to help us close our budget gap. I've been a job creator. I've owned a small business. I know what it takes to incentivize a small business owner, and that's where I'm going to focus 100% of my effort when I become governor, is to make sure that we're creating jobs. Because if we create jobs, we'll have money in the state budget for education, we'll have money for the critical service programs, and we won't have to make it hard on our families to get what they need in New Mexico.
And just one last thing, what about other than funding schools, what can we do to improve schools, improve the dropout rate, improve test scores, and the whole gamut?
Well, we need to invest in early childhood education to make sure we're giving kids the best start they can get, and then we also need to make sure that we're giving them a meaningful high school and middle school experience. Let's let kids in the schools in northern New Mexico, for instance, let's let them to have a work experience on a small farm, in a small business, in a rural community health center, and give them credit for that. Give them opportunities for dual credit in their community colleges, their four-year schools. Give them opportunities for long-distance learning. Not all of that takes a lot of money. It takes innovation and good teacher training and principal leadership. That's where we need to focus our efforts.
Most importantly, Hatch green chili or Chimayo red chili?
Chimayo red chili.
Okay.
And let me tell you, in a little community where I have a home in Hillsboro, New Mexico, there's a little restaurant there called the General Store. It's only like 40 miles from Hatch, New Mexico. And where does he get his chili? Chimayo.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
That's it.
Okay. Thanks.